Youth copper says soldier bathed her with sand and water because of small chops. Welcome to the news. She was called a dirty pig and a low life and repeatedly smashed with a bowl. Eze Iraku Ifenyoma Fidelia, a serving member of the National Youth Service Corps, NYSC, the Nigerian's mandatory graduate scheme, says Lieutenant Chika Viola Anele mixed sand with water and poured the mixture on her because they had an argument over small chops. She also said the officer told her that she was a dirty pig who hadn't washed her cheap breath for 3 months, among other derogatory words and invective. According to Youth Corps member Fidelia, the viral video of the army officer bathing her with muddy water and smashing a bowl on her was recorded on July 28, 2021 in Calabar, the Cross River State capital. The thing started the day we went to Eburutu for drilling competition organized by the commander of the brigade, Fidelia tells Cross River Watch. I was among those ushering people in, so when we got there in the morning, I saw one of my captain friends. He used to be my friend because we play Ayo game together, and I always beat him. So when I saw him, I tapped him and said, you are even here before the ushers, so we laughed. Only for Lieutenant Anele to shout at me that I shouldn't touch an officer in uniform. So after scolding me, I went back to my position and I was standing there. Another officer came and he was offering me a handshake. I told him they said we should not shake an officer in uniform. All of a sudden, they started sharing small chops. That Anele lady was in charge of the small chops, so I shared it to the invited guests and some officers. One major called my attention and said he mistakenly poured his chops on the floor, that I should change it for him. I told him the chops are finished and that the ones he's seen are for the umpires, but he insisted. Not knowing what to do, I went back to the Anele lady to explain to her that this major is insisting that I change the small chops for him. So she started insulting me that I'm senseless. That was I not there when she told me that the unreserved one was for the umpires. Before then, she had given me a plate of chops, that whenever we are hungry, we should eat it. She now ordered me to go and change that one and bring it. She said, I don't have sense. I quickly went and changed it for him. So after the event, she called me and started insulting me all over again. Angrily, I went to the other side of the barracks where I met an officer. The officer saw that I was looking forlorn, so he asked me what was happening. So I explained to him that the way some officers are talking to the coppers here, I do not like it, Fidelia said. Fidelia asked that on July 28th, Lieutenant Anele summoned her and other coppers and told them that they were summoned because of the small chop incidents, and that Fidelia had told her colleague that if it wasn't for the Anele's army uniform, she wouldn't be able to talk to her, Fidelia, outside of the barracks. According to Fidelia, the soldier then told her to go and dress up in her NYSC attire. When she got to her room, she discovered that she was menstruating and so had to clean up and take a shower. Another copper who was asked to go fetch Fidelia, the copper returned to tell Anele that Fidelia was bathing. Anele got even infuriated and stormed Fidelia's room to ask her why she was bathing rather than answer her summon. Afterwards, Anele began telling other coppers about how you cannot compare Maduna University, where the army officer graduated from, and the University of Lagos. How one strain of her hair can buy Fidelia, and how Fidelia is such a low life. Other youth corps members were then asked to fetch water and sand, and the bathing and dehumanizing as captured on the viral video comments. These are reports that Lieutenant Anele had been transferred to another division rather than being subjected to disciplinary measures, by the Army High Standard. The Army had announced that Lieutenant Anele has been sanctioned in the interim and will be made to undergo trial in line with the extant provision of the Armed Forces Act. I am going to say this again. This is one of my popular sayings. Before you become anything in life, before you become a Christian, a Muslim, a member of a tribe, a member of an ethnic group, before you become an officer, before you become a graduate, before you become anything you are, before your title, before your chief lolo, before your doctor, before your professor, you are first of all a human being. And this should guide you. No matter the level, we should remain humble, because at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. The The issue that you're arguing over, and that issue, before you know it, it's escalated, and it turned into something. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter. People will say, is it not just the small issue? We should use our good office, no matter where we find ourselves. No matter the position we are, we should always use our good office for good. You can choose. Everybody has a decision. You either choose to forgive or choose to be strict. You either choose to be lenient or choose to be gentle and calm and kind. And of course, that single act you did, if it is an act of being kind, being humble, being loving, being gentle, being forgiven, that act, just like when you drop something in the water, it has a ripple effect. It will carry the ripple effect. You might not know it. No matter, you will choose to be kind. I choose, okay, she said this and this and that, and I heard it, and okay, I'll just tell her this would have happened, but don't worry yourself, let's not repeat, and it just goes. But no, some of us wouldn't learn. Some would choose the harsh, and at the harsh side of the judgment, we pick the harsh side of the coin, where we say no, we are far high above every other person, that we cannot make such mistakes, or we have never made any mistake. And at the end of the day, when you go back into your room, if you have a conscience, deep down, you're going to tell yourself that you took it too far. You took it too far. So before you become a president, governor, senator, whatever title you possess, just remember, we are all human beings. The other person, there is nothing less about that person. We are just kind of at different phases in our lives. And so the other person you think it's unworthy of whatever, maybe your forgiveness or your kindness or what have you, shouldn't think like that. We are all in different phases of life. According to the news, they never told us that this thing it was just a mere misunderstanding. A mere misunderstanding. I'm on my period. Officers, they obey the last order. They treat civilians like they were treated during their training, forgetting that we are civilians. And this is where being human comes in, no matter what. And I'm not just talking about this incident now. It is a call for us to always find the humanity in us. Don't be so inhumane. Don't be so kind. Don't be so inhumane and unkind. We should find the humanity in ourselves. Find the humanity, I beg your pardon, in another person. When you find it difficult to forgive, just imagine that person is another human being. He or she might be having all sort of things. Yeah, might be having a bad day, might be depressed. Just think of all the possible things that when you are in that kind of a corner that could happen to you. And it is going to be easier for you to be kind, be gentle, and be forgiven. On this note, we've come to the end of the news now. Thank you for tuning in and listening, and enjoy the rest of your day.